You're listening to Be in Demand, the podcast for honest advice, inspiring stories, and ideas for growing your business by leveraging the expert that you are. I'm your host, Laurie-Ann, business mentor, and I'm also a reformed painfully shy girl, red wine lover, and exercise enthusiast. Join me as I share how being positioned as the expert in your industry, even if it's a busy one, will help you stand out and be the one in demand to hire and work with. Hello. So today we're going to be talking about the seasons in nature and how this actually relates to our business. And I'm specifically also going to tie this into speaking and how you get visible and how you grow your business, whether you're doing it in person or you're doing it all virtually online. So let's just start with winter. Winter is a time of rest. It's a time of resting and rejuvenation, in nature. It's gathered, it's, saved, lots of nutrients and lots of water to make it through the winter into the springtime, and I am from the Northeast. So I'm thinking of winter has a lot of snow, and that's what we'll see on the surface, but there's so much that's going on underneath, inside, 12 inches down, into the ground. There's so much that is actually going on that we just don't see, and then things turn into spring, as the weather warms up, that's where you're going to see a lot of energy being used. A lot of growth is happening. As a matter of fact, I consider springtime to be like this rapid growth season, because then it turns into summer where the days are longer. There's more sunlight. There's probably, there's different, like here in the Northeast again, like we have like these lots of rain in the springtime that is just adding to that rapid growth and into that summertime. And it's those extra long days that the plants are able to grow. Essentially, like they just have more time during the day to actually do this. And then you get to actually see the beauty of nature, which then turns into fall. And fall is the time, the days are getting shorter. The days are getting cooler. The night times are getting cooler. And that's when you see the plants have grown as much as they can grow. And that's when you're pruning, if you're growing a vegetable garden, you've got these beautiful vegetables, you've got fruits, you've got flowers, that you're able to actually enjoy and probably enjoy through the winter, again, storing things. But it's also, let me just kind of go back to that summertime. As during those growth periods, that's when we're also pruning some of those vegetables and fruits and flowers. We're pruning the plants, or even your trees, that are in your yard, in your garden. You see lots of landscapers, they're pruning things. And when you prune things, you're actually helping the plant. You don't have to put so much energy into these branches because we're going to cut them back so that you can use your energy efficiently. And then it's able to grow more flowers, grow more fruits and vegetables. So how does all this actually relate to your business? But you think about the winter time as a time when you're resting. Maybe it's a time when you are reevaluating your business. Is this what I want to keep doing? Do I enjoy doing this? Am I seeing changes in the marketplace? Am I seeing changes in the industry? What new technologies are available that are going to make changes in the future? And maybe you start using that and just taking that, basically what I say is follow the clues. You're seeing things that are happening. So maybe you want to be proactive and hey, maybe I want to change. Maybe I want to start a new program, start a new project, work with different clientele. Maybe I want to create a new presentation. So that's what that winter time is. There is that rest period. And sometimes winter happens when you don't even realize it, meaning life is lifing. I've gone through some family emergencies this year myself, and that really was a time it put me into hibernation. And it put me into that rest period. I still had content that was going out. I was still actually launching, but I myself had kind of pulled back in my business. And me and my team, thank goodness for my team, did a lot of repurposing so that I could be fully present with my family emergency. And also the business was still running because I'm still here to serve, knowing that the family emergency, this winter that I went through, was also going to be very temporary. And in the springtime, like there's this rapid growth. Maybe you've decided to pivot. Maybe you've decided to evolve to a new level or offer this new program. And so you're probably launching. You're probably getting out there and sharing it, or maybe you're just starting your business. So that could be your springtime. And then summer, like you're into that cycle. You know exactly what needs to be done, and you're doing exactly what needs to be done. And at the same time, pruning. Again, like I just love that metaphor of pruning. What do we need to get rid of? What do we need to stop doing? Pruning is also delegating. It's good leadership. What can you delegate? Maybe you need to hire on a new team member. Let's delegate that. That's a form of pruning because you yourself may not be doing that. Somebody else may be doing that. It's almost like a little plant that's like right next to you. And then there's that fall, enjoying what you have created in your business, the fruits of your labor, being able to use all of like everything that you've done so that you can go into that rest period. And your winter might actually be a 1-month sabbatical. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody yesterday and we were talking about podcast interviews. And she just said that she was going to, for the first time this summer, was going to be taking 3 weeks off from her business. Congratulations. That's a winter. That's a rest period. It may not be technically winter on our calendar, but it's a winter for her. She's going into a rest mode. She's storing up energy. And I'm sure that there are some wonderful things that are going to come out of her 3-week sabbatical. I'm calling it a sabbatical. She's probably calling it just a vacation. But you just never know. I mean, like this is when we think of and we come up with some of our best ideas is when we are in that sabbatical rest period. So I'm a big advocate for rest. So what about speaking and getting visible? There is that rest period in between speeches, in between getting visible. Maybe it's a time when you decide, what, I want to change. I want to change what my mini stage is. I want to change my presentation. I heard somebody telling me how many hours that they put into crafting a presentation that they were only going to use for a handful of times. And I just think like I'm actually saddened by that because you do put so much work into a presentation, making it really, really good. The 3 C's: compelling, captivating, and converting. I always want my clients to use their presentation as long as they can, as long as it's still relevant, as long as it's still working. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not customizing that presentation, but through the course of the year, like I've known speakers who slowly change their presentation so that if they do speak for the same organization, the same group of people, that group of people are hearing a completely new presentation. But there's a lot of stories that you have that are so relevant. Don't be afraid to repeat those stories. Don't be afraid to repurpose what you already have, because people love predictability. That's just our human brains. We love predictability. So if I start hearing a speaker start telling a similar story that I've heard before, heard them say before, I might not remember all the details. I do remember how it ends. And maybe the speaker is actually going to tie in a different lesson because they're speaking for a different reason. Those are some of the things that I help my clients do, is to have those stories where that they're crafting them. They feel so comfortable in front of people. They build up their confidence, and it shows. Sometimes building up that confidence is that spring season, so that you feel really confident constantly speaking. You can speak spur of the moment because a meeting planner or a head coach, who's running like a high-end mastermind reaches out and says like, hey, I just lost my speaker for tomorrow. Could you fill in? And because you have a presentation, because you know the different components of a presentation, your opening, your authority section, the value section, how to close, you've got all these different blocks that you can put together a unique presentation instantly. And you're confident about it. You know how well it works. And that shows. So that's kind of like your summer into fall. And so I love nature. And I just think that there's so much to learn from nature and so much that we are putting into our businesses. There's just so many similarities. So I just want to encourage you, look outside and realize, in the Northern Hemisphere, we are going into summer. In the Southern Hemisphere, they're going into winter. As they're in their fall, and they're going into winter, their time of rest. I mean, that's what's so interesting about Earth and about where we live, is that there's always this exact opposite, Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere. And just to be able to realize wow, I need to go into a rest. Only you know when you need to start resting. Only you know when you need to change the crops, so to speak. Start something new, something that excites you. Speak about something that excites you. Realize that the world is changing around us. And so how can I use my thought leadership and talk about what the changes are? Talk about what we actually need to be doing. Who can I inspire? Who can I encourage? Well, we all need to just get out there and do our job, and when I say job, do your part. And I have this belief that I am here to make sure that I leave this planet better than I found it. That's just something that I sort of live by. And if my job is to inspire others to live a better life, and they're being role models for their people in their audience, like family, their community, their followers on social media. We all are here to do our part. And I recently spoke at a university here in Boston, a prestigious school, and to be able to speak to this group of people where they are anywhere from 19 years old up to about 21, I would say, because this was an entrepreneurship and sort of early in the program, to be able to speak to them and just know that I'm sharing my knowledge from my years with them. And there were some great questions that this group of people asked me. And I'm so honored to have been able to have been a part of their journey. But that came from me going through many different seasons. Many summers, many falls, many winters, many springs, to be able to share that information with them. So what season are you in right now? Do you need to go into a winter? Do you need to be resting? Do you need to go into spring and start growing? Do you need to start gathering new stories to put into your presentation? Do you need to just decide, hey, I'm going to make sure that this is a spring season for me, and I'm going to find a mini stage, whether that's, I'm going to start a podcast, I'm going to guest on podcasts, I'm going to use IG or Facebook as my mini stage, and I'm just going to go all in on that one platform, and I'm going to share. And I'm not going to care if only one person shows up. I'm in a spring season, and maybe a second person shows up. And then slowly, there's a lot of people who are showing up because you're showing up on a regular basis. That's what gets you noticed. And when you start using your mini platform to not only just share your tips, but let people know that you are a speaker who is available to be booked for stages, virtual stages, for podcasts, There is so many different forms of speaking that's out there right now. And you just need to find what works for you, your personality, your lifestyle, and your business model. And you've heard me talk about a lot of this stuff. And if you haven't, definitely dive into some of the other episodes that are here on my podcast. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you grow and get visible. And I'm a reformed painfully shy girl. So if you feel like, yeah, I'm shy and shy people don't do speaking, I want to tell you that that's not true. I taught my nervous system new skills, new tricks, and I can share with you exactly how I did that. But you want to make sure that you are compelling, captivating, and most importantly, converting, because we want your audience to be raving about you, remembering you, and referring you. So if you are a shy introvert, you start small. Start with baby steps. If you feel more comfortable speaking, then maybe you want to take some big steps. But get visible. That's all that speaking is a form of visibility. And remember, it positions you as the expert, and clients hire experts. So until next week, I hope that you found this super helpful. And if you did find this helpful, please share this with others. Share the video, share the audio, share it with others. Sharing is caring. I know that's so cliche, but help others by letting people know what you are listening to. And when you share this podcast or leave me a review, it actually tells Spotify and iTunes and Google Play that people like this podcast, and then they will show it to more people. So until next week, I hope you have a fabulous week and make sure you be in demand. Thanks for hanging out with me. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And join me over in my private Facebook group for more tips, community, and free trainings. You'll find the link in the show notes. You can also help this podcast reach more listeners by leaving a review. And as a thank you, each month I pick one of my reviewers to win a free coaching call with me. So if you haven't done so already, please leave a review and you could be the next winner.